Once upon a time in the land of Israel, there lived a man named Samson. Now, Samson wasn't just any man. He was the strongest man that ever lived. He could tear a lion apart with his bare hands, wrestle a bear, and win. And once he even used a donkey's jawbone to beat 1,000 enemy soldiers. Imagine that. But Samson's story wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It was also a story of big mistakes, pain, and even betrayal by the woman he loved. You see, Samson was a Nazirite, a person who was set aside for God. But later on, he got mixed up with the wrong crowd, the Philistines, and things went terribly wrong. So today, let's take a journey through the amazing life of Samson and see how his story still affects us today. Let's start from the beginning. A long time ago, the Israelites were in big trouble. They were being ruled over by a mean and nasty bunch of people called the Philistines. And the Israelites were like, "Oh man, we need some help here." So they cried out to God, and God listened. He said, "Don't worry, guys, I've got someone coming for you." Then God spoke to a man named Manoah and said, "Hey, Manoah, I have a special task for you and your wife." But here's the thing. Manoah and his wife couldn't have kids. So they were pretty surprised when God told them they were going to have a baby boy. God said, "This kid is going to be a Nazirite, which means he's going to be super special and set apart for me. He's going to start when he's born. Never cut his hair, don't drink alcohol, and stay away from anything gross. And this kid is going to be the one to save the Israelites from the Philistines." Wow. Talk about a big responsibility. So when Samson was born, everyone was super excited. They knew that he was destined for greatness. As Samson grew up, God gave him super strength, like the kind of strength that makes a grown man cry. One time when Samson was out walking, he saw a lion. And most people would run away, right? But not Samson. Nah. He ripped that lion open with his bare hands like it was nothing. And get this. When Samson went back to check on the lion a few days later, he saw something really strange. The lion's carcass was full of honey. It was like nature's way of saying, "Hey, Samson, you're strong enough to rip me open, so you might as well enjoy the sweetness inside." But then Samson made a riddle about it and gave it to some friends, and those clever rascals actually guessed it right. That's a good story, right? Well, let me tell you another one. Another time, Samson got into a big fight with some Philistines, and these guys were no match for him. They tried tying him up with ropes, but guess what? He broke free like it was no big deal. And then he found a donkey jawbone lying around, and he used that to beat 1,000 Philistines. I mean, that's some serious jawbone action right there. But here's the thing. Samson had a weakness, and you know what they say, a hero is only as weak as his weakness. Samson's weakness was women. Oh man, he loved them, but he had a real bad habit of falling for the wrong ones. I mean, he married a Philistine woman, and you know what they say, don't mix business with pleasure, right? Well, Samson didn't get that memo, and it caused a lot of problems. And then he met this other woman named Delilah, and she was a real piece of work, if you know what I mean. So one day, the Philistine leaders went to Delilah and said, "Listen, we want you to find out why Samson is so strong. And if you find out, we'll give you a whole bunch of gold and silver." And Delilah was like, that sounds like a lot of money. I wonder how I can find out Samson's secret. So she started pestering him, asking him question after question, but Samson kept playing cool and he didn't spill the beans. At first he tricked her with riddles and jokes, but Delilah was persistent like a bad case of hiccups. She wouldn't give up. And you know how Samson was? He thought he was so smart. He was like, "I'm gonna outsmart Delilah and keep my secret safe." But here's the thing. Samson was super confident, like the kind of confident that makes you do stupid things. And that's what he did. One day he told Delilah the secret of his strength. He said, "Listen, my strength comes from my uncut hair. I've been a Nazirite since I was born, and cutting my hair would break that vow." And Delilah was like, so that's the secret. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Then she ran off to tell the Philistines, leaving Samson none the wiser, and the Philistines, they weren't going to waste this information. They went straight to Samson and said, "Hey, we know your secret now, so don't even bother trying to escape." And Samson was like, "What? How did you guys find out?" And the Philistines just laughed and said, "Oh, we know all your tricks, buddy. We're going to make you suffer for this." And let me tell you, they did. They gouged out Samson's eyes, put him in prison, and chained him up, thinking they had finally won. But little did they know, Samson was just getting started. Now picture this. The Philistines were throwing a victory party in their temple, celebrating the capture of Samson. They were dancing, eating, and basically rubbing it in the Israelites' faces. And Samson, he was sitting there, blind and helpless, thinking, how did it come to this? But then something amazing happened. Samson prayed to God and said, "Oh Lord, give me one more chance to show them who I am." And you know what? God answered his prayer. Samson felt a surge of power run through him, and he was ready to take action. You see, the temple where the Philistines were partying had two big pillars that held the whole thing up. And Samson, with all his might, pushed those pillars over. The temple collapsed, and the party came to an end. I mean, it was the ultimate revenge. The kind of revenge that makes a comeback movie look like a walk in the park. And guess what? Samson died in that collapse, but he took out thousands of Philistines with him. Talk about going out in a blaze of glory. So there you have it, the incredible story of Samson, the strongest man who ever lived. But you know what? Samson's story isn't just about crazy feats of strength and epic battles. It's also about making choices and dealing with the consequences. Samson chose to follow his own desires instead of God's path for him, and he paid the price. But even in his weakness, he found strength in God again, showing us that no matter how low we go, God's mercy can lift us up. Think about it. Samson could have been the greatest hero Israel ever had, but because of his weakness, he became a tragic hero. He showed that we humans are capable of incredible strength and bravery, but also terrible mistakes. Samson's story reminds us that life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes our greatest weaknesses can lead us to our greatest moments. It's a story that has lasted for thousands of years because it speaks to the human experience. It shows us that we're not perfect, and we all make mistakes, but we can always turn things around. So what lessons can we learn from Samson's story? First, don't waste your gifts. Samson was blessed with incredible strength and abilities, but he wasted them because of his weaknesses. Second, stay faithful to God. Samson started out as a Nazirite dedicated to God, but he strayed from that path and it cost him dearly. Finally, even when we fail, God's mercy can redeem us. Despite his failures, Samson was able to have a moment of redemption when he took out the Philistines in the end. Remember, friends, life is full of challenges, but we can overcome them if we learn from those who came before us. Let Samson's story inspire us to be strong, to stay faithful, and to never give up, no matter how tough things get. Until next time, thanks for joining me on this amazing journey through the Bible. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, remember Jesus loves you.